The first paragraph of Article 1 of the Civil Code numbered 4721 states that the law shall apply to all matters it mentions in word and essence, while Article 4 states that in matters where the law grants discretion, or orders consideration of the requirements of the situation, or just reasons, the judge shall decide in accordance with law and equity. Article 6 states that unless there is a provision to the contrary in the law, each party is obliged to prove the existence of the facts on which they base their claim. Article 7 states that official records and documents constitute evidence of the accuracy of the facts they document. Article 2 states that everyone must comply with the rules of honesty when exercising their rights and fulfilling their obligations, and Article 3 states that in cases where the law attaches legal consequences to good faith, the existence of good faith is the primary factor. Article 23 states that no one can partially or completely waive their legal capacity, or abandon their freedoms, or restrict them in a manner contrary to law or morality. An individual's characteristics, legal and contractual capacity, freedom, material and spiritual assets, and economic integrity make up their personality. Both national and international regulations have emphasized the protection of personality and personality-related rights. The concept of the right to personality is an absolute right protected at national and international levels, aiming to preserve the personality values of an individual and being a fundamental human right. In this context, the 1982 Constitution, Turkish Civil Code, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, European Convention on Human Rights, and the United Nations International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights contain provisions that protect personality rights. The right to personality empowers the holder to demand avoidance of attacks on their body and material integrity, interests, and relationships. In other words, the right to personality is the interest and authority of a person to be recognized by everyone as a subject of a right, and to be respected as such. The right to personality, which is directly related to the right to life in the agreement, grants individuals the authority to exercise control over their material and spiritual entities within the framework of their own personal interests, and to prevent others from interfering in this area. In fact, in Turkish law, individuals are granted this protection through the Constitution and the Turkish Civil Code in a broad manner. Legal capacity, which denotes a person's possession of rights and obligations; capacity to act, which refers to the ability to create rights and obligations through one's own actions; and the rights that stem from being a person, together constitute a person's personality. In other words, personality encompasses a person's legal and action capacities, personal situations, and material, spiritual, and economic entities. The defining characteristic of personality rights is the absolute right granted to the holder to demand that their personality not be violated. In a decision dated 13 May 2018, the General Assembly of Civil Law of the Court of Cassation determined the scope of personal values as follows. Personal values have been determined as physical, emotional, and social personality value, which includes the person's professional identity in society, honor and dignity, freedom, bodily and mental integrity, and health, race, religion, and citizenship ties. The provisions on personality rights are regulated between Articles 8 and 35. It is concluded that general violations of personality rights do not rely on debates for or against the main issues arising from this right in private law doctrine. As there is only one existing personality, the right to personality to be protected is also singular and general. However, some entities within the personality rights are also protected specifically. Indeed, Turkish Civil Code Articles 23, 24, and 25 protect personality rights in general, while Article 26 provides special protection for the right to name. The protection of personality against attacks resulting from the actions of third parties is referred to as protection of personality against external attacks, or protection of individuals against non-contractual attacks. The basic principle for the protection of personality against external attacks is regulated by Article 24 of the Turkish Civil Code. This provision grants the personality right holder the authority to demand protection when there is an attack against any of the personality rights. In this context, it provides protection against any kind of unlawful attack that may occur against all elements included in the content of the personality right. Article 24(2) of the Turkish Civil Code explains the nature of illegality, stating that any attack on the right to personality, without the consent of the person whose right is being violated, without a superior quality of private or public interest, or without the authority granted by the law constitutes illegality. It should also be noted that the illegality of the act does not necessarily require fault, but fault is important in determining the compensation liability of the person who caused the harm. This passage refers to the entirety of the legal system for determining the value of the violated right to personality and the illegality of the attack, and grants judges the authority to refer to unwritten law and create law if they cannot find a regulation in written law. A person's personal assets, such as the right to life, bodily integrity, and health, are included in their material integrity. In the event of a violation of material integrity due to an unjust attack, the provisions of Article 25 of the Turkish Civil Code concerning the cessation or prevention of the attack, as well as the compensation liability of the attacker, will be brought up. In terms of compensating for damage caused by an attack on material integrity, in the event of death, Article 53 of the Turkish Code of Obligations will apply, while Articles 54 to 55 of the Turkish Code of Obligations will apply to other physical damages, and Article 56 of the Turkish Code of Obligations will apply to compensating for moral damages. Sources: 1. Uzman, M. Kemal Asilisi Answer, Oktay Özdemir, Saybey, Law of Persons, Natural and Legal Persons, Istanbul, 2014, 14th edition, page 153. 2. Akapek, Jail Akinturk, Turgut the Ates Karaman, D.O. Turkish Civil Law Introduction Provisions Law of Persons, Istanbul, 2009, 7th edition, volume 1, pp 341 to 342. 3. Akapek, O Akinturk, Ates Karaman, pages 342 to 343. 4. Dural, Mustafa Azed, Tufan, Turkish Private Law Personal Law, Istanbul, 2013, 13th edition, volume 2, page 9. 5. Helvachi, Serap, Real Persons, Istanbul, 2017, 8th edition, page 95. 6. Siebert, Issues Related to Personality Rights, Trans. Bilge Austin, 1958, pages 223 to 224. 7. Akapek, Jail Akinturk, Turgut Ates Karaman, page 345. 8. Dural Azed, page 138. 9. Uzman Asilisi Oktay Özdemir, p.194. 10. Y.HGK. T.06.06.1951 E.1951, 4-191, K.1951, 122 decision. 11. Uzman Asilisi Oktay Özdemir, p.195. 12. Tandoğan, Haluk, The Functioning of Protection Against Non-Contractual Violations of Personality, and the Protection of Private Life Against Violations Through the Press, 1963 to 1964 Academic Year Opening Lecture, page 11. 13. EREN, page 528.